I says, okay. I says, well, I'll be in a couple of minutes to help you to get them out. So in the meantime, I sit there a couple more minutes. I go back, and we're there working, and she's saying, oh, this is really tiring on the back. This is tiring on the neck. So I tell her, I says, look, I says, you know, I professionally used to do this 20 years ago, reflexology, holistic medicine and all, massaging and all that. So allow me to finish, just like you talk. So I told her, I says, the best way that you can relieve pressure, I says, you're standing the wrong way, you're bending over, you're working against your body. I says, it's the base of your neck, it's where all the stress goes all the way across. I said, if you take and move your neck around and move your body around, you can loosen up and you won't have that kind of stress. So she says, well, okay. So she started doing this here, moving around. So I went back and sat down for a minute. So she's still complaining, so I says, look, I tell you what I'll do. I says, now don't misunderstand. I said, what I'm gonna do is show you. I said, if your boyfriend wants to do this later, I said, that's fine, but at least you'll know how to relieve the stress. So what I did was, I'm sitting in a chair's sitting high. She walks around and sits in another chair, and I take and go across her shoulder. 5 minutes is all it was, showed her how to turn her head, and that was it. We worked for another 30 to 40 minutes, and she left out of there, and I had paid her, and I assumed that she was coming back the next day, and that was it.
What are you telling an 18-year-old girl for about your lack of sex with your wife, sir?
I did not say anything about no sex whatsoever.
You're lying.
What I'm trying to say is that I discussed with her during the course of our conversation the fact that my wife has bronchitis, and that's it.
But I didn't care that your wife had bronchitis.
You asked me why my wife did not work with me, and I told you my wife did not work with me because she had bronchitis.
You're lying. You do not physically touch some woman who's 18, your employee, when you're working for them during business hours.
You stated to me that you was uncomfortable. That was in 5 minutes, and I says, that's it. You says, I'm a good girl, and I said, I know that. That's why I hired you.
Then what did you tell me about telling me that you wanted to turn me every way but loose?
That's
what was your...
Well, let me ask you a question, sir. You did say just now that she told you she was uncomfortable, and you stopped.
I stopped immediately.
What's your name?
Brian Borges.
I have a limited question for you. You're her boyfriend.
Correct.
When she came back after this evening of work, I want you to tell me what her demeanor was.
She was very upset. She was crying. She had called me from the payphone. I live right across the street, which is around the corner.
Why should she call you from the payphone? You live right across the street.
Let me talk. After the conversation on the phone, which was very brief, she came to my house.
Where did you meet her? You waited in your house?
Yeah, she came straight over to my house. And she was very, very nervous, very distraught.
Okay, sit down.
Your Honor, the payphone that he talks about is further away than what his apartment is. You walk across the street, right there is his apartment, catty-cornered across. So why go to a telephone?
Where was the payphone that you used?
The payphone was right next to his house by a liquor store. It is right next door to his house.
So why should you go to the phone? You're right, the apartment is right there.
You did not see me walk over there. I was freaking out. My mind was not,
Why did you stay almost 30 to 40 minutes later?
Excuse me, don't yell at me.
Did you get paid the last day?
No, I didn't.
You just left?
Yes, I just left. I don't care about money.
Your Honor, God is my witness, I dropped dead this minute. Anybody that's ever worked for me, and this young lady knows every single day before she left, I paid cash money.
What is my reason for lying about
That's
something
a good question, because you need tuition money, you need a car, you need clothes to go to college. And you think I got money. Your Honor, allow me, I have a sauce that finally for 10, this may seem irrelevant, but this is relevant. You think I got money because I've got a sauce that now for 10 years, I started making it in the kitchen in a Mason fruit jar and did for 8 grueling years every swap meet, every state fair in California. Finally, I got it on the market, it's going nationwide, and they know this.